Yo, what's good, y'all? We got another YouTube reaction today. It's been a while since I posted, but I'm back. I'm not going nowhere. Today we got How Every Dictator Died. We're starting off with Adolf Hitler. It's a dangerous guy right here. Very dangerous.
Commanded millions, was now trapped underground like a rat. Hitler spent his final days in a concrete bunker beneath the Reich Chancellery, surrounded by a shrinking circle of loyalists who watched their Führer deteriorate before their eyes. On April 29th,
I know, like, even though they were wrong, but like they were really like loyal until the end. That's great loyalty right there. Even though all the bad stuff he did, he was still loyal. That's amazing loyalty.
he married his longtime companion Eva Braun in a bizarre midnight ceremony. The next day, April 30th, 1945, Hitler said his final goodbyes. Around 3:30 in the afternoon, he and Eva retreated to their private quarters. What happened next was confirmed by those who found them. Hitler had bitten into a cyanide capsule.
He died the day after he got married. I did not know that. I did not learn that in school. I did not know that.
And shot himself in the head simultaneously.
How about the
Eva
girl?
died beside him, having only consumed the poison. Their bodies were carried up the bunker stairs, doused with gasoline in the Reich Chancellery garden, and set ablaze while Soviet artillery boomed in the distance. The man who'd sent millions to their deaths in camps and battlefields chose
his
to
own
escape
life.
judgment by his own hand, leaving nothing but charred remains and a legacy of horror. He was 56 years old. News of Hitler.
Adolf Hitler was only 56 years old. Are you trolling me? He was so young, and he did all that. Oh, brother.
Hitler's death spread across the world.
R.I.P. to everyone that lost their lives because of him. R.I.P. to everyone.
Marking the end of the European theater of World War II, and spawning decades of conspiracy theories about whether he really died or somehow
Still
escaped.
decades.
Benito Mussolini. Benito Mussolini
Moving on to
spent his
Benito.
final hours running. The Italian dictator who'd once strutted on balconies preaching about a new Roman Empire was now disguised in a German military coat, trying to flee to Switzerland.
Man, this guy's wearing the enemy stuff, boy. Man, you gotta do what you gotta do to survive, though. I feel you.
On April 27th, 1945, communist partisans stopped a German convoy at a checkpoint near Lake Como. Among the soldiers, they found Il Duce himself, the great fascist leader, hiding like a common criminal. Mussolini and his mistress, Clara Petacci, were pulled from the convoy and held overnight. The next day, April 28th, a partisan leader named Walter Audisio arrived with orders to execute them. Accounts vary on the exact details, but what's certain is this. Mussolini and Petacci were taken to a villa gate in the small village of Giulino di Mezzegra and shot
That's a
with a
beautiful place. Beautiful place right there.
submachine gun. The partisans loaded the bodies into a van and drove them to Milan, to a place called...
I know that, like, they might be, like, suspicious because of affiliation, but how do you guys feel about killing the spouse of an evil dictator or evil leader? Like, even though their wife might be innocent, what do you guys think? How do you guys feel about that?
Piazzale Loreto. This wasn't random. Months earlier, Mussolini's regime had executed 15 partisans and left their bodies on display at that exact location. Now it was his turn. When the truck
Get
arrived
back
at
is
dawn
crazy.
on April 29th, Mussolini, Petacci, and several other executed fascist officials were dumped on the ground. A crowd gathered quickly, and things got ugly fast. People kicked the corpses, spat...
That is so disrespectful. Yo, no. That is way too disrespectful. Kicking corpses? Are we serious?
on them, fired at them again. One woman reportedly fired 5 more times into Mussolini's body, once for each of her dead sons.
Aww.
Then came the finale. The bodies were hung upside down from the roof of a gas station. The crowd went wild, jeering and celebrating.
Why did I never hear about this stuff in
News
school?
of Mussolini's brutal death flashed across the world, signaling the definitive collapse of fascist Italy and marking a symbolic turning point in the final unraveling of World War II. Kim
Hey,
Jong-il.
man. Gotta do what you gotta do to make you feel like you gotta do what you gotta do.
Kim Jong-il ruled North Korea for 17 years with an iron grip, maintaining one of the most isolated and oppressive regimes on Earth. He cultivated a personality cult, so extreme that state propaganda claimed he could control the weather and didn't need to use
Man, this guy isn't God. He ain't Jesus Christ. Come on now.
the bathroom. But in December 2011,
what?
propaganda claimed he could control the weather.
Control
and
the
didn't need
weather.
to use
Didn't need to use the bathroom. Come on, are we serious?
bathroom. But in December 2011, the man who'd been portrayed as nearly superhuman died from something decidedly human, a heart attack. On December 17th, 2011,
Natural thing
Kim
they'll do to
Jong-il
you.
was traveling by train through North Korea when he suffered a massive heart attack, reportedly brought on by physical and mental stress. He was 69 years old. North Korean state media didn't announce his death until 2 days later, on December 19th, claiming
Why?
he died at 8:30 a.m. on his train while on a field guidance tour. The announcement described him passing during a great mental and physical strain while dedicating himself to the nation. Official reports said he'd been suffering from diabetes and heart disease for years, though the regime had hidden this from the public. When the news finally broke,
Yeah, that kind of makes sense. So that he's not descripted as weak or ill. That makes sense. So people will respect him still.
North Korean television showed anchor Ri Chun-hee dressed in black, weeping as she announced the dear leader's passing. State media broadcast footage of citizens collapsing in theatrical grief, wailing in the streets and bowing before his portraits. Whether the grief was genuine or performed out of fear,
I don't
the
think it was
spectacle
genuine.
surreal. Kim
I don't think
Jong-il's
it was
body was
genuine.
embalmed and placed on display in a glass coffin at the Kumsusan Palace of the Sun in Pyongyang, lying in state alongside his father Kim Il-sung. Unlike many dictators who met violent ends, Kim Jong-il died of natural causes, never facing...
Which one do you guys think is like more? How would I say? Which one do you guys think is more like? Would be more like painful, like physical wise? A gunshot where you die immediately, or a heart attack?
justice for the starvation, imprisonment,
Which one you guys
and
prefer,
execution
actually?
of countless North Koreans. He passed power seamlessly to his son, Kim Jong-un, ensuring the dynasty continued.
It's the leader
Joseph
right now,
Stalin.
Kim Jong-un.
Joseph Stalin ruled through terror for nearly 3 decades, but in the end, that same terror might have killed him. On the night of March 1st, 19...
If you guys ruled a country, what would you guys want to rule with? Respect or fear? Respect. Everybody respects you, but like nobody likes you. With respect goes a long way when you're ruling a country. Like that's like Obama. That's like what Obama has. He leads with respect.
1953,
Let me know in the
Stalin
comments.
hosted one of his infamous late-night dinners at his dacha near Moscow. He drank heavily with his inner circle of Soviet officials, the same men who lived in constant fear of purges and midnight arrests. Around 4 a.m., Stalin
No
dismissed
loyalty.
everyone and retired to his private quarters. Then something happened. Hours passed.
Heart attack?
Stalin always summoned his guards and staff by mid-morning, but March 2nd came and went with silence from his room. Here's where it gets darkest. His guards and household staff knew something was wrong, but they were absolutely terrified to enter without being called.
You see, that's when you lead with fear. People are scared, and this stuff happens. That's why you gotta have respect. Always be respectful.
Stalin had cultivated such a climate of fear that his own people were too scared to check if he was alive. By the time someone finally worked up the courage to peek inside that evening, they found the 74-year-old dictator lying on the floor in a puddle of his own urine, partially paralyzed from
brother.
a massive stroke. He'd been there for nearly 12 hours. Medical help was summoned, but the delay had done its damage. Stalin lingered for days, unable to speak, his face contorted, slowly dying while doctors tried desperately to save him. Some historians believe his guards delayed on purpose. Others think...
How are they gonna delay on purpose when they're scared? I would be scared too. Would you guys not be scared? You can't even walk in the building without him getting mad. He probably would have sent them all to death.
his own officials might have poisoned him or withheld help intentionally. On March 5th, 1953, at 9:50 p.m., Stalin finally died. The announcement
He's strong though. He survived for that much days after having a stroke. I respect it. I got eyes, y'all. I'm broke. Bear with me.
triggered mass public mourning across the Soviet Union, but privately, many breathed sighs of relief as his reign came to an end. Rafael Trujillo
I
ruled
could
the
tell this was
Dominican
gonna be a
Republic like his
dangerous
personal
one.
kingdom for 31 brutal years, ordering assassinations, tortures, and disappearances with casual cruelty. But on the night of May 30th, 1961, the hunter became the hunted. Trujillo was being driven on a highway outside Santo Domingo when several cars suddenly blocked his route. A group of Dominican conspirators, many of them military officers who'd once served under him, emerged with weapons. They'd been planning this for months, with quiet support from the CIA, who wanted Trujillo gone.
Yo, life is so scary. Life is genuinely so scary. Imagine thinking that you have everything in your hands, but people are secretly plotting against you. That's why you guys always have to be respectful. Always be respectful. Because you never know the person that you're yelling at, screaming at is plotting on you, plotting to end you. Always be respectful.
On. The 69-year-old dictator's car was riddled with bullets. Some accounts say Trujillo tried to fight back, pulling out his own pistol and firing at his attackers.
Was he by
before being
himself?
shot multiple times. Within minutes, El Jefe, the chief, was dead on the side of the road, his body torn apart by gunfire. The conspirators loaded his corpse into one of their...
No way they took his body. These boys is disrespectful. No way they took the body. Savages.
cars and drove away, unsure what to do next. Trujillo's body ended up stored in the trunk of a car for hours while the assassins debated their next move. Eventually, his remains were recovered by loyalist forces. What followed was chaos. Some conspirators were caught and executed, others fled, and the country descended into political turmoil. For a ruler so brutal, Trujillo's end was fittingly the same: Nicolae Ceausescu. Nicolae and Elena Ceausescu spent Christmas Day 1989 facing a firing squad, and the whole thing was captured on video. After ruling
Oh my gosh. Imagine their kids seeing this when they're older, seeing your parents die on camera. That has to be the saddest thing ever. Heartbreak.
Romania with an iron fist for over 2 decades, the Ceausescus watched their power evaporate during the country's anti-communist revolution. On December 22nd, they attempted to flee Bucharest by helicopter as protests overwhelmed the capital. They were captured within hours. 3 days later, on Christmas Day, they stood trial in a small room at a military base in Targovist. The trial was a rushed affair, lasting barely an hour, with charges of genocide and embezzlement, among others. The elderly couple appeared confused and defiant, with Elena repeatedly protesting that the proceedings were illegal. The verdict was never
your lawyer, girl?
Guilty, death sentence. Minutes after the trial concluded, Nicolae and Elena were led outside to a courtyard wall, soldiers lined up. The couple was given no chance to say goodbye or make final statements beyond their protests during the trial. The firing squad opened fire, and both Ceausescus dropped dead almost instantly, their bodies riddled with over 100 bullets. The execution was filmed, and that evening, Romanian television broadcast the news, along with footage proving they were dead. The footage spread internationally, shocking viewers who watched a longtime communist leader go from power to execution in just 3 days. Pol Pot, the architect of Cambodia,
Look at a cool name. Pol Pot.
is genocide that killed up to 2 million people.
Woo! He killed 2 million people? That's damn near a whole state, basically. I've never heard of Pol Pot before. He killed 2 million people. Think about that.
Died quietly in a jungle hut in 1998. After the Khmer Rouge regime fell in 1979, Pol Pot fled into the jungle near the Thai border, where he lived as a
Yo, why they got
fugitive
a
for
smile
nearly
on
2
his face?
decades. By 1998, he was 73 years old, under house arrest by a splinter faction of his own former movement. On April 15th, 1998,
Putting him on house
Pol
arrest not
Pot
gonna
died
do
in his
nothing.
sleep, reportedly from heart failure. The timing was suspicious. Just days earlier, remaining Khmer Rouge leaders had agreed to hand him over for an international war crimes trial. Instead, he escaped justice by dying in a bamboo hut. The Khmer Rouge, knowing how skeptical the world would be, did something macabre. They displayed Pol Pot's corpse to journalists, inviting them to photograph the body to prove he was really dead. Images of his lifeless body appeared.
Bruh. Man, imagine you're dead and people are just flicking up next to your body. I would be sick. I would be so mad. Somebody's flicking up to next to my body like this.
Newspapers globally. There would be no trial, no accountability, no chance for victims to face him in court.
Why would there
butcher
be?
of
He's
Cambodia
dead.
had literally died in his sleep and avoided answering for millions of deaths. His body was cremated on a makeshift pyre of tires and trash. A pathetic end for a man who'd orchestrated.
That's a crazy way to go out. No funeral, no nothing. There's no remaining of your body. This is your coffin right here. This is all you get.
Shift pyre of tires and trash. A pathetic end for a man who'd orchestrated industrial-scale murder. Saddam Hussein.
2 million.
Saddam
Jesus.
Hussein's execution on December 30th,
Forgive me.
2006, was supposed to be a solemn, controlled event. It wasn't. After the U.S.-led invasion of Iraq and a lengthy trial for crimes against humanity, Saddam was sentenced to death by hanging. At dawn on that December...
I would hate to do that. I know there's many other death penalties like the firing squad, hanging, electric chair. I feel like firing squad has to be like the quickest way to go. I would choose the firing squad. But hanging, I would hate that.
The 69-year-old former dictator was led into an execution chamber at an Iraqi military base in Baghdad. Official protocol was supposed to keep things dignified, but someone in the room had a cell phone. As Saddam stood on the gallows with a noose around his neck, guards began taunting him, shouting sectarian insults. Saddam responded with defiance, reciting prayers until the trapdoor opened, and he dropped. The whole thing was captured on a grainy cell phone video that...
Oh my goodness. They got this one on camera too. Imagine how much video there would be people now if this stuff had happened in real life now. when we captured dictators and stuff. Imagine how much
leaked
videos.
online almost immediately. Saddam, dressed in a black coat, remained composed even as the insults flew. When the floor gave way beneath him, it was over quickly. His body was later returned to his family and buried in his hometown of Tikrit. The execution sparked
Hey, at least they gave the body back though. That's kind of respectful. I like that.
massive controversy. Some viewed it as justice served. Others condemned the disrespectful treatment of a man facing death, regardless of his crimes. Muammar Gaddafi. Muammar Gaddafi ruled Libya for 42 years with a bizarre mix of brutality and eccentricity. On October 20th, 2011, he died begging for mercy in a drainage pipe, and the
Why is he in the drainage pipe? How did he get there?
whole thing was filmed on cell phones.
Yo, I don't understand. How do you even record somebody in a drain? How? How do you even see enough? Like, how is there even enough light for you to record that?
During Libya's civil war, Gaddafi fled Tripoli as rebel forces closed in. He made it to his hometown of Sirte, where he held out for weeks before NATO airstrikes destroyed his convoy.
13
Gaddafi
weeks, okay.
escaped the wreckage and hid in a concrete drainage pipe with a few remaining bodyguards. When rebels found him, they dragged the
Gotcha.
69-year-old dictator out into the open. Multiple cell phone videos captured what happened next. A bloody, disoriented Gaddafi.
Oh no, I don't know this guy, so he probably did do a lot of things wrong.
His face
I'm just
swollen
so
and his clothes
sensitive.
torn, being manhandled by jubilant fighters. In one video, he's heard pleading, asking what he did wrong. Rebels shouted victoriously. Some struck him, and chaos reigned. What exactly happened in those final minutes remains disputed. But Gaddafi was shot, reportedly in the head, and died shortly after his capture. His body was later displayed in Misrata, where locals lined up to see the corpse of their former dictator, lying in a commercial freezer. The phrase
Why was his body not given to his family? Caught like a rat in a drain. Sad
caught
way
like
to
a
go
rat
out.
in a drain became headlines. His body was eventually buried in an unmarked grave in the desert, location undisclosed. Augusto Pinochet ruled Chile for 17 years after seizing power in a bloody 1973 coup that overthrew the democratically elected government of Salvador Allende. During his dictatorship, thousands of Chileans were tortured, killed, or disappeared. But unlike many dictators, Pinochet didn't die violently or in exile. He died in a hospital bed, old and comfortable, never fully answering for his crimes. By 2006, the 91-year-old former dictator had been battling health problems for years. He'd suffered multiple heart attacks.
He's 91. Of course he's gonna have heart attacks and problems. If you rule until you're 91, I gotta give you respect. You can take all the stress, all the problems, gotta give it to you.
Strokes, and his body was finally giving out. On December 3rd, 2006, Pinochet suffered a massive heart attack and was rushed to Santiago's military hospital. Doctors performed emergency surgery, but complications set in quickly. Over the next week, his condition deteriorated. He suffered additional heart attacks and developed pulmonary edema, his lungs filling with fluid. On December 10th, 2006, exactly 1 week after his initial heart attack, and on International Human Rights Day, Augusto Pinochet died surrounded by family members. He was 91 years old. When news of his death reached the streets of Santiago, the reaction was split. Some Chileans celebrated, gathering in the streets to cheer and wave flags, relieved that the dictator was finally gone. Others mourned, viewing him as the man who'd saved Chile from communism and brought economic stability. Here's what made Pinochet's death particularly frustrating for those seeking justice. He'd spent his final years fighting extradition and prosecution. He'd been arrested in London in 1998 on Spanish warrants for human rights violations, but was eventually released on medical grounds and returned to Chile. Back home, he faced multiple indictments for human rights abuses, tax evasion, and embezzlement, but his lawyers repeatedly argued he was too sick and senile to stand trial.
Come on now. Come on now. You know you're wrong for that. Tax evasion and embezzlement. You know you're wrong for that.
The cases dragged on for years, and Pinochet never spent a day in prison for the atrocities committed under his rule. His funeral was a private military affair, and he was cremated shortly after.
They gave him way too much grace. Way too much grace. I don't care how old he is. They gave him way too much grace.
Pinochet's ashes were
Not a
divided
day
among
in
family
prison for
members,
anything.
with some reportedly scattered in the ocean. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe.
Hey y'all, let me know what you guys think, man. Which one shocked you guys the most? I just started crazy. Which one shocked you guys the most? Let me know in the comments. I love you guys. Love you. Peace.